Hey everybody, Steve Fretzin, and no surprise, this is the Be That Lawyer podcast. This is what you've come to listen to. Hopefully, you're checking out our videos on YouTube, and also you've already purchased the book Be That Lawyer: 101 Top Rainmaker Secrets to Growing a Successful Law Practice. It's a bestseller, 50 plus 5-star reviews. We are rocking and rolling with that. And you guys know what this is all about. We're helping you be that lawyer, confident, organized, and a skilled rainmaker twice a week, every single week, forever and ever and ever. And I just try to find talent anywhere I can. And sometimes, just goodness rains down on me and I end up with someone like Elise in the, who's hanging out in the wings. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. I'm doing really well. We are we going to get into our New Orleans roots together or no?
Well, we'll see where it takes us.
We'll see where it takes us. Yeah, I've got a lovely, lovely family down in New Orleans. But I have to when I go down to visit them, the first thing I do is I take off my watch because there is no time. And if we're having dinner at 7, plan for 10. It's
Oh,
right? And it's just never going to go the way you want it to, but it'll always be good. So that's
we'll have an amazing dinner. Let's be serious.
the crawfish boils and the crab boil and the things that they do. Yeah, they're second. I mean, I've never had a 4-hour dinner where you just sit around and eat for 4 hours, but that's what they do, and we go along with it. So, hey, let's jump in right away and get to our quote of the show. This one you and I found together, and we immediately knew that it was the right one for this show. It is, "In God we trust, all others must bring data." And that's attributed to Edwards Deming, and I guess it was his business mantra. So, welcome to the show, and tell us why you loved that quote right when you heard it.
Well, I mean, I am all about the data because, otherwise you get into all these emotions. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want all the emotions. Bring me the numbers. Like, let's talk about the numbers. And if we're going to have to talk about emotions, we're doing that later over fried chicken and beer, but not when we're making a decision, you know?
Yeah, base it on the data. That's the thing. Like I am one of these people who I love everybody. Like so I have, like I'll have an assistant and I'll hold on to the assistant like 6 months longer when the data is all telling me this is not working. This is not someone that you should hold on to. And I just have a heart, right? And then you end up 6 months of regrets.
Oh, do we all know that? I think every one of us has tried to rehabilitate or, we're like, oh, we'll try this a different way.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll work now. And
Yeah.
that crusty
Yeah.
old data gives us the real deal. And it's like, oh, okay, my 12th idea didn't work either.
Well, and I don't think lawyers traditionally are fans of math and data and that type of detail. I think it's I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, most lawyers, I think it's language, it's problem solving, it's arguing, it's things like that really I think make people passionate about the law.
Well, and it's interesting because as a young person, I loved math. I mean, I
Mm,
went to college to be a biomedical engineer. Like that
okay.
was what I was going to do. I got so into calculus. I think, in semester 4 of some type of crazy derivative calculus. And I realized I was at the end of this blonde brain when it came to calculus. And I thought, maybe I'm not going to be a biomedical engineer. I was like,
Yeah, all right.
change this.
Yeah.
And
And if you did, then you'd end up in IP, right? That's where they end up, right? These engineers. Everybody, you've got such a treat in store for you today. Elise Buie is the CEO and founder of Elise Buie Family Law. I think we originally met through Anita Ventrelli. Is that possible?
I think it is, yes.
Yeah,
Anita
she's
was
one of
one of
my
my
favorite people.
Oh, she was a teacher for me years ago at one of those NITA family law trial advocacy
Hmm.
programs. I mean, wow, does she have some skills?
Yeah, she's a powerhouse here in Chicago, everybody, and she's been on the show. She's in my book, Over My Shoulder, and she's been in one of my Rainmaker roundtables for years, and she's just an incredible lawyer, an incredible person. I just can't say enough great things about her. But this is not about Anita. This is about you and your brain. So tell everybody a little bit about your background, how you came to be.
Sure. Well, I, messed up in calculus, so ended up in
We got that far right.
right. And so, went to law school, was in New Orleans, did graduated, ended up in insurance defense litigation for years, then quit and stayed home. And I was enjoying my 4 little children at the time
Mm,
and doing the thing. Then Hurricane Katrina hit, and off we went on our wild country adventure, moving both to Georgia, then Minnesota, and then finally out here to Seattle. I started a firm out here in Seattle in 2015. I didn't know a soul, just came out here and worked as a contract attorney for a while, then started my own firm. So for about 10 years, I've been growing and doing this out here. And it's been a wild adventure, to say the least. You go from just you to whatever we have now, 40-ish people.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the lessons and hard knocks that not only you have found in your search for greatness and in running and growing a law firm, but other lawyers? What are you seeing out there where the struggles are in developing a sustainable, successful law practice? Hey everybody, do you ever wonder why top executives and athletes are so successful? It's typically because they have a coach, someone that is looking at them from the outside to identify their gaps, identify their potential. That's what I do. I'm Steve Fretzin, and I'm here to help you be that lawyer. If you're interested in a free consultation, click the link below and we'll get together and we'll identify where you can make improvements to be that lawyer.
Not using the data.
Okay, so we're right back where we started.
It's really true, though, not understanding, one, what their numbers are, and then two, what story those numbers are telling you. And I think in so many billable hourly firms, there is such a leaky bucket of what is happening. And I think for me, I would, every month, every week, look at these things. And I was always like, okay, this person says they're doing this, Cleo says this, but then the numbers do not add up. And so we created this system. I mean, me and my, little blonde brain, I was like, we are not going to call these billable hours anymore. We call them billed on invoice hours, because I feel like there was this leaky bucket that was totally happening because attorneys would either discount their time. They'd be like, oh, it took a little too long to do this or whatever, or they were not putting things on bills that they decided, either that's a non-billable activity or not. But I was like, if that attorney has agreed to do, 1,200 hours a year, let's say, of billable hourly work, that means that 1,200 hours at their normal billable rate are going on to invoices. So if they want to cut and do whatever, okay, that's on your time over your 1,200 hours of billed on invoice. And so a lot of firms look at collections, but in my mind, that is not fair, because the collection part, that is on me. If I do not have the processes in place to do collections well, the attorney should not suffer for that.
Okay.
But the billed on invoice is 100% in the attorney's control. And so that, for our firm, literally plugged an $800,000 leaky bucket.
Wow.
And
wow.
It was wild, the difference when we started doing this.
Well, you're coming in with a firecracker and blowing some minds right now, because there's people listening who run firms that don't have that specific mindset and system in place, and their leaky buckets, leaking. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, well, that to me is I think I have such a heart for attorneys and what they're doing, because so much of what we do, and so many of us go into this work because we're trying to help people. You know what I mean? You do not become a criminal attorney because you're some capitalistic, extraordinaire. I mean, you're literally trying to keep our democracy in the forefront of what you're doing every day. But you see these attorneys that are just bleeding finances, and they are struggling, and they are working 60, 70 hours a week, and they're earning less than they would earn doing their job somewhere else.
Well, let's not stop there. I think we're on a roll right now, and I'd love to hear what are some of the other things that you're looking at from a standpoint of data and metrics that are helping you to be successful and profitable that maybe lawyers are missing.
Well, I mean, the build on invoice is one, and then also really digging into the metrics in every part of your firm. Intake has its own metrics. Marketing has its own metrics. The client experience has its own metrics, being able to determine and your team. What is your team's satisfaction with their work? What is their trust level in the firm? Like, are you doing and getting like pulse surveys from your team so that you are building up a culture that is accessible, kind, if kind is one of your values, but whatever your values are, and really making sure that you are, I think, practicing your values through your data,
Yeah.
so that and then for us, I mean, we have KPIs. So like every person in the firm has KPIs that we look at, so we can objectively look at people's performance. So it's not one of those feeling things, or not one of those, we think this person is doing well. I mean, we can actually track, how they are doing and whether they're performing and how that aligns with our culture.
Yeah. And what about marketing? Obviously, people are spending thousands, 10,000s, even more, 100,000s in some instances on marketing. I've had a lot of marketing people on here that say, hey, follow the data. But do you have a system for how you're tracking your marketing and your budgeting and how it's feeding back to ROI?
Yeah, marketing is such an interesting area. We are a very weird firm in this regard.
Hmm.
We have a low marketing budget. I mean, just low. I mean,
Okay.
I just got back from a marketing conference, and I mean, we are substantially low. We do 5% of our gross revenue towards marketing. And I mean, we keep that very tight because we do track the ROI on it, but also this is where I think it's important for people to understand the difference between brand marketing and positioning versus, digital kind of marketing, paid ads and things. If you have developed a solid brand or are developing a solid brand where, you are across all things, like from an organic standpoint, and you've developed thought leadership in areas, and you have done what you can do to really maximize referral marketing, then when you bring in the digital marketing on top of it, so maybe you've maxed out or plateaued your, organic reach and you need to do some more. That is all kind of playing in an ecosystem together, where so if I go and spend a certain amount of dollars on paid ads, I am going to get a different ROI than somebody who is paying those exact same dollars, but without the developed brand. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's this big, thing that gets lost is people not putting enough money towards brand marketing. And it doesn't necessarily, money is probably the wrong word, but money, time, effort, thought, strategy,
Yeah. Yeah.
developing that brand marketing.
I feel like what you're saying is like the brand marketing and the relationship marketing is like you've made this cake. And then if you happen to throw digital on top of it, you've iced the cake. But
Yeah.
otherwise, you just have a puddle of icing. Maybe not. I could have gone off the wheels with that one, but I think you're so right because if you're just an anomaly and then trying to flood the market with ads, but without the brand and without the validation and all the different pieces that go into, like if you I'm not saying to do this anybody, but like if you type Steve Fretzin into Google and you go 60, 70, 80 pages deep and I'm still there, I'm not saying anyone would ever do that. My point is like you create the content, you create the brand, you work at it, and then if you do digital on top, the likelihood that it's going to play out is even enhanced.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think that there's so much now with AI as far as how are people showing up. Your brand and all that development really plays into that part of this as well. And even at the conference, though, I just went to, it was so interesting because they had actually really tracked, through their data, how little things are still coming through AI. Like we all are all like AI, but it is still coming through Google and through, the normal channels. It was interesting to see Reddit as being such a powerful channel of marketing. And I mean, that's all thought leadership,
Yeah.
around like where are things coming. And so I think for me, like marketing, there's such a I'm so like strongly related to my values. And I think being able to verbalize, talk about, and get out there about your values is such a powerful way to develop a brand. And then I think the rest of the marketing engine can kind of go with that, and they just really help boost it.
Yeah. And then is there data in ROI that you can find in your team, whether it's people delegating work down to paralegals and associates and paralegals and admin, and keeping the rainmakers rainmaking like you, and then making sure that your lawyers are fully functioning on the high level work?
100%. I mean, that is to me like that is the fun of running a law firm. And we actually created last year a thing called 30 is the new 40, which actually put that into place in a way where, and it applies to hourly employees. So it's not attorneys, because it's looked at different, but like paralegals, let's say, they were working, 40 hours a week. They all had their KPIs. And we're big into having good life work integration. And I was like, okay, there is a way I can give these people back 10 hours a week. And I was like, we need to take their KPIs and we need to teach them how to delegate this work down so that, anything that's non-billable admin, like we're delegating it down. And so then I have paralegals now who work 30 hours a week. They get paid 40 and they are hitting the exact same KPI.
And then the paralegals are delegating to who? They're delegating down to VAs or who?
Legal assistants,
Yeah.
VAs, or we're automating things,
Okay.
or we're just
Amazing.
not doing some things.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
I mean, sometimes you have to look at your workflow and be like, yeah, this thing is just noise. It's not moving any needles.
yeah.
So we did a whole beta test of this 30 is the new 40 with a paralegal in our office, and we met with her weekly, got her feedback, and brought her down systematically from her 40 to 30 over about a 6-month period. I mean, it's pretty powerful to get 10 hours back in your life.
Yeah. Oh, every lawyer, there's not a lawyer listening that isn't salivating at hearing about how they get 10 hours a week back on their life.
Yeah.
In some instances, I find I have people track their day and they identify the hour or two a day that is being wasted. And they basically get, like, if they take advantage of it, they can get like an extra week a month. But not everybody does that. And not everybody is interested in trying to like go deep and figure it out. But I'm curious how you can be data driven, and it's not that there isn't emotion, but you're trying to take the emotion out of it. But does that create a stronger value system and stronger culture, or has that been challenging? Because you'd think if you're just looking at data, that seems colder than warmer from a standpoint of building a strong culture. But I'm assuming it's the opposite for you.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know, in that I look at it as numbers plus narrative. So we talk about our data clearly as our numbers, and then we need the narrative that matches that. So let's say, as an example, I want to talk to an attorney who maybe is not hitting their billable goals. I'm going to bring the data, and that data is shared with that attorney daily, weekly, like they know exactly. So there's no like mystery or surprise.
Yeah.
In that conversation, I'm going to want to know, what is their narrative? Like, what is happening in their life right now that could be impacting this? What can we do to support them in whatever is going on? Is this, a long-term problem, a month-long problem, a quarter problem? Because we have a choose your own adventure model where people come in and tell us what they're going to bill a year, because how do I know what they want to bill in a year? Like I've got people who've got 4 kids, 3 kids, no kids, they might have completely different needs.
Yeah.
And so we do not have any set standard billable hour. People tell us what they want to bill. We tell them what we'll pay them. And if they need to make changes along the way, they just say, yo, I need a change. Like I need to go up, I need to go down, like whatever. And
Yeah.
we make those adjustments. And so in my mind, the data allows us to be more nimble, and it allows us to actually meet people where they are.
Wow. I love that. And again, I don't think that's what most firms are doing, right? The billable requirements are super high. There's lack of flexibility. Their prices keep going up. It's harder and harder to get business. And it sounds like you've got something really cooking here that is kind of moving along with the times.
Yeah, definitely. We are definitely different. I mean, like when I was at this marketing conference, I sat on a panel with two other attorneys, and I was in the middle of these two other attorneys. And every time we would talk, I'd be like, okay, here I am saying something weird again. Because I realize we do things weird, and we
Yeah.
do. We just are, we're very innovative. And like I said, we're so focused on life work integration. I think being a mom and divorcing myself, like being a single mom, then getting married, having this blended family of 6 kids, I couldn't have some rigid life. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I had to go to lacrosse, football, climbing, rowing. I mean, I was like all over the place. And so I very much know what it's like, especially for women who are juggling all the things. And I mean, they just don't need to be sitting in some office at some set hour every day doing the things. They can get their work done. And I think because of our data, it allows the remoteness of our firm to work so well, because a lot of owners are like, well, how am I gonna, know what people are doing? It's like, if you have good data, I don't care where my people are. They could
Hmm.
be in New Zealand on a black beach, and I know exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So as you continue to leverage data and incorporate values into the firm, does that how I mean, how does that impact your ability to scale? How have you scaled? And give everybody a little bit of a flavor of how this allows you to scale. If you're a rainmaker and you're feeling like you're on an island, you don't have anyone to share your ideas with, solve problems with, you're going to want to check out my Rainmaker roundtables. Click the link below and learn more.
Well, I think for one, I mean, and it's interesting, everyone focuses on scaling. And I have to tell you, I go through periods. I like, am like my people, there's flexibility. There are times that we are scaling, and there are times that I'm like, oh no, we are doing no scaling. We are correcting things, or we are digging in and fixing something, or creating something that we really need to create. And so we have not had, like a linear up into the scaling thing. I mean, we've gone from like probably right at 1 million in 2019 to a little over 6 million, and that's been up, down, and around. I mean, I had one year, 2023, I think, where I literally called it my year of peace. And I literally pulled us back down because I was like, we have kind of scaled a lot, but there are some things that are broken,
Mm-hmm.
that need fixed. So I'm like, we are going to pull down and we're going to fix. And so I I don't know. I just look at scaling in terms of the health of the firm, both financially, but also people wise. How is the health of my people? And I
Yeah.
have to tell you, like with getting into politics, I mean, people are struggling just in the world right now. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
going on. And so I think there's just a lot of, just almost fatigue in people. So, like,
Yeah.
we are really leaning into that right now. Like, what do we need to do to make sure we are meeting our people where they all are?
Yeah. And I think checking in on wellness and checking in on, like I was talking to a client who we just met, and he was telling me, he's feeling a bit down and it's affecting his business development and all that. And I'm like, so I just asked a few questions, and sure enough, there's some issues with his son, and his son's not sleeping. He's not sleeping. And, so yeah, so if you're not sleeping or eating right or exercising, or there's something that just isn't going on, the politics of the world and the way the world is going, like, yeah, there's a lot of stressors. I get that. And so I think that may be just another point to make, is to like check in with your people. Like, don't
Oh,
just be the business side and the data side. I think there's the human side of how are you doing today, and what's going on with you, and how can, what can I do for you?
I mean, I think it's the numbers plus the narrative.
Numbers
Number,
plus the narrative. That's the theme of the show. I mean, the numbers plus the narrative is really, you must say that a lot. That's like, that
I
might be
do,
their quote of the show.
I do.
Now we got
The
another quote of the show. But
I
I
mean,
love that because I think you're right on.
without the narrative, you are missing a huge part of the puzzle. Do you know?
Yeah.
And you have to be able to meet people because, like it or not, as a business owner, every single human in your business is dealing with some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Mean, it doesn't matter who they are, what position they have, where they're from, what their politics are. None of that matters. Everybody's got stuff going on. And if you do not dig in and actually care, fundamentally care.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So I think we're not gonna end there, but we're gonna end here. And that is, what's Elise's big mistake?
Oh, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
would say my big mistake, big, I mean, it dates back, was actually deciding to quit my job as a lawyer, stay home. My husband and I at the time, he's my ex-husband now, it was a real struggle. And I think we kind of felt like competition almost. He's an attorney and it just wasn't going well. And so I'm like, oh, well, I'm just gonna quit. I'm going to stay home. You go be the lawyer, you know, you do all the things and I'll just, you know, homeschool 4 children. It'll be fine. Well, that was not my wisest move. And, you know, however many years later, 10 years later into that, I was like, oh, well, now we need a divorce. And now I haven't worked for a decade and I've got no money. And so I literally had to take all that, flip it all around. And I'm like,
Wow.
and then I was like, oh, I got kids looming for college. And I was like, I don't have a college fund. So, I mean, I started the firm solely with the intent that I was paying for those 4 kids to go to college.
Wow.
And
Wow. That's
so like
crazy.
taking that mistake I made of just thinking I was somehow going to solve a marriage problem by doing what I was doing,
Yeah.
it did not work. And so, you know, I've had to rebuild kind of later. And you know, but I've gained so much insight because of it, you know, and I
Yeah.
actually said to my current husband, I was like, I actually owe such a debt of gratitude to my ex-husband that all that happened, because I never, ever would have gotten where I am today without that. I would have just stayed in a typical law firm model. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And you know, and that's why, you know, with kids today, you know, like my wife wants and I want our son to like not have any struggles. We want everything to be easy. And I have to stop us and say, no, he needs to have that problem. He needs to, you know, figure out that he's going to get, you know, pneumonia from a cough because he didn't go to the doctor early enough, or, you know, whatever. It just, you can't bulldoze. And so I think in our lives, it's what ends up defining us as who we become off the challenges. And even our world today, my hope is, other than it blowing up, that we end up stronger as a country, for example, because we're so, you know, divided and because there's so much craziness going on. I mean, that's what I hope happens. And I hope that, and I think that's what happens to a lot of people that go through tough things. They come out the other end stronger. So
100%. I
really
mean,
great, really great. Let's take a moment, just thank our wonderful sponsors. Rankings.io. So if you're doing great branding and you're going to need the paid stuff, the social, the SEO, the pay-per-click, all the juice, and especially for the UPI folks, you're going to want to check out Rankings.io. We got the Law Her podcast with Sonia, crushing it for women, and of course Legalverse Media. If you want to get some international flair in your daily you know, web feed, then check them out. And Elise, if people want to network with you, meet you, they want to send work your way, you know, in your part of the world, what are the best ways for them to reach you?
I mean, on social media, they can reach out, or my email, which I'm sure you could put in the show notes or
Yeah, it'll all be in the
something.
show
But
notes. Yep.
yeah, so yeah, and we are in Seattle. Our family law firm is in Seattle, Washington, and so yeah, that would be the best way. And I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, no, this was great for both from my perspective. Amazing. And by the way, just a quick thing about Seattle. I was there a number of years ago. The Pop Culture Museum, amazing.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. They had a thing on Pearl Jam. I'm a big Pearl Jam guy, and
Oh,
holy
fun.
mackerel, it was so good, so deep
Yeah.
on the band. Really, really enjoyed that. This was wonderful. I thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your wisdom. And I think, you know, there's just so many things from, you know, numbers plus the narrative and talking about, you know, data and KPIs, Not just the data, but it's important. All this great stuff that I know lawyers are taking in and maybe making some better decisions about how they run things. So thank you.
Oh, well, awesome. Yeah, it was great seeing you.
Yeah, great seeing you as well. And thank you everybody for hanging out with Elise and I for about 30 minutes plus. Listen, take everything we said, dissect it, use it for how you can use it. And my goal is that you become organized and strategic and tactical in how you do it and use your data and be that lawyer, everybody. Confident, organized, and a skilled rainmaker. Take care, be safe, be well. We will talk again very soon. Are you ever curious what's really holding you back in business development? Sometimes it's hard to see the label from the inside of the bottle. I'm Steve Fretzin, and I can help you grow your book of business. Get a 30-minute free consultation with me. We'll identify gaps, identify your potential, and let's take it to the next level so you can be that lawyer. Click the link below for a free consultation.